A very good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome to another episode on the Life Signatures Radio. It's a daily show on the subjects of purpose, the subjects of productivity, and the subjects of resilience. This is something that we do on a daily basis, and we discuss not just those three, but we also discuss other related topics. For instance, we're in the middle of a series. We're talking about reputation. We've been doing this for quite a while now. I think over 20 episodes have gone into this, and we're going to continue going strong talking about this because a very important subject matter. And now, if I am going to continue talking about this subject matter of reputation, I am going to continue giving you from different types of angles. And we've been talking in the recent past about the 7 ways you can actively mess up the reputation that you've been building, the reputation that is good. How can you mess it up? We looked at some ways in which you can be able to do that, and we're going to continue to do that today in the episode, so stay tuned.
Welcome to the Life Signatures Podcast with Lawrence Namale. Lawrence is a life coach, author, and keynote speaker who loves to tackle different topics on purpose, productivity, and resilience. His mission in life is to awaken all your boundless possibilities available in you. Life Signatures Podcast is dedicated to bring to reality every single person who knows that deep down in their gut, there's got to be more to life than this. And now, here is your host, Lawrence Namale.
So we have already looked at one way, and we started yesterday to look at the second way in which you can mess up your reputation. The first way we talked about, very powerful, is if you veer off one small deviation from your values, what you stand for, what you are known to stand for. If you veer off what you are known to stand for, it messes up your reputation. Yesterday we started talking about the second one, which is what? If you start overlooking your promises, start breaking your promises. This is very powerful, as in a promise puts you high in my expectation list. I think more of the people who have promised me things than the people who haven't. In other words, you occupy a special place in my heart, or in my mind for that matter, if you promised me something and I start looking forward towards it. So I'm high on your list of priorities, high on the list of considerations. Now the day of delivery comes and you break the promise without explanation. What happens? You are dethroned from the high place in my mind. You go onto my feet. Maybe you go into the heart, by the way, from the mind to the heart. And when you get into the heart, it's not funny, right? I have bad feelings about you. So from expectations, which is in the mind, to feelings, which is in the heart. And that's where your reputation gets messed up. When you move from the head positively to the heart negatively, you're going to go back to the head negatively. Maybe even to the mouth, where I start telling people about you and how bad you are as a person. Failure to fulfill promises destroys the concept of you. We talked about this yesterday. If a daddy promises a present to a kid and the daddy fails to honor that promise without explanation, that failure destroys the concept of daddy. Not you as an individual, but the concept of the office of daddy is destroyed through that failure. So what do we do? Once you fail, when it comes to your reputation, the rule of thumb is you should never promise that which you cannot fulfill. Your promise or your word is what binds you to your reputation. It goes without saying. It binds what you say, it binds to your reputation. And once you fail to honor your promise, however genuine that promise was, however genuine that reason was, your reputation is spoiled. Notice that it is important to find a way of rectifying. You need to continue giving constant updates about your promise, especially when you know, number one, there is a delay. Number two, there is a complication that has come up. Number three, there is a possibility of the deadline not being met, or there is a possibility, number four, of the promise never being fulfilled, at least in this immediate term or in the medium term. I kept doing that when I promised my kids something. You know what it was gonna do? It's going to buy you some time. In other words, you're going to continue staying in the mind. You're not going to move into the heart. You're going to continue staying into the mind positively, that this is still a promiser. The reputation is still intact until such a time that you are able to deliver the promise. You keep giving updates. The same thing can be done with you. If you know that you've made a promise and it is apparent that you will not fulfill that promise, it is time you started communicating tactfully about that. I know that this is one of the most difficult things to do, reporting yourself as a failure. But you're not necessarily reporting yourself as a failure. Communication of perceived failure is the one that does wonders. What that does is to commend you to the people and actually cement that reputation. The people who are expecting from you, even though you are kind of like failing to honor your promise, even though they will be disappointed, but you have still maintained the promise. You've still showed up and said, I failed, or I'm going to fail, or I perceive I might not be able to fulfill, but I'm still in the game. Even when worst comes to the worst, when you know for sure you'll not be able to do it, ahead of time. Not when the time has elapsed, ahead of time. Okay? You have a relationship between you and your landlord. And you know 1 month down the line, before you can pay the rent, you know you're not going to be able to do it. The window of communicating is not on the very day you're supposed to pay, or 2 weeks later. By that time, the reputation is gone. The window to earn the reputation is way before. Once you have a sniff or a whiff that it might not be possible for me to fulfill my obligation or my promise, to keep my promise, once you know before time, it is time to communicate. Believe me, that disappointment that you're going to be giving to these people who are expecting of you at a later date is nothing compared to losing your reputation entirely. They will adjust. They will still, hold you at high esteem. And you need to keep them informed. The very act of updating these people about your promise, especially if you know you'll not honor it on time or you'll entirely miss it, it is insurmountable. It is great. First, it will tell these people that you value and you respect you respect these people, you respect them, and that is why you communicate. And it will tell them that you are actually thinking. It will manage their expectations so that they will know that you are not thinking any lower about them. Therefore, your reputation will keep up there. They might understand your failure, but that failure will not at the same time go to boot with your reputation. It will make people to respect you for managing that failure or the delay of the promise that you issued much earlier, and they will know that you're a good person. They will understand, he failed to pay rent. Of course, we've got to part ways, but he was a good man. He communicated. He tried. He tried. She tried. But the guy who did not communicate, when he knew that he was going to break his promise, it is only when they called on you see, and in fact when you're dodging phone calls. You see a phone call coming and you're not picking. You're switching off your phones. You're dodging. At the end of the day, not only will you fail to deliver on the promise, but alongside that failure of delivering on the promise is your reputation going on a downward spiral. You don't want to do that. So the second way you can mess up your reputation is to fail to keep a promise or to break a promise. Today, that's what we've covered. We've just added on to what we were sharing in the episode yesterday. Tomorrow, we're going to look at a new way, another way in which you can soil your already built up reputation. But until then, bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Life Signatures Radio. If you enjoyed today's show, subscribe to Life Signatures Radio on iTunes, Stitcher, or visit our website at lifesignatures.libsyn.com. Life Signatures Radio, fresh, clean, and inspiring.